Hello everyone, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're going to explore a deeply emotional wedding story. A story about love, perseverance, and family. You'll witness a journey filled with heartfelt moments, from a mother walking down the aisle with her daughter, to vows that promise loyalty, protection, and a lifetime together. This isn't just a love story. It's a story about choosing each other through every hardship. If you enjoy stories that touch the heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our upcoming videos. With this ring, I thee wed, I will. I give you this ring as a sign of our marriage. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for spending a part of your day with us. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next heartfelt story. Today's story takes you into a wedding filled with emotion, love, and quiet strength. It's the wedding of Huyen and Diep, a celebration that goes far beyond romance. This is a story about perseverance, family, and choosing one another despite everything life has placed in the way. From the touching moment when little Maya walks down the aisle beside her mother to the sacred exchange of rings, every second of this ceremony carries meaning. The joy deepens as Huyen and Diep sing together, sharing their happiness with the friends and family who have supported them through every storm. And in one of the most emotional moments of all, Huyen can no longer hold back her tears, overwhelmed by the long road that led her here. Diep pulls her into his arms, promising to stand by her and Maya for the rest of their lives. It's a powerful reminder that true love isn't built overnight. It's built through patience, loyalty, and unwavering commitment. If you enjoy stories about love, family, and emotional moments that truly touch the heart, then this channel is for you. Please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and become part of our growing community. Your support means everything to us, and it encourages us to keep bringing you meaningful stories like this one. Now let's begin. Music. The wedding of Huyen and Diep unfolded like a gentle dream, filled with romance, warmth, and a kind of happiness that seemed to glow in every corner of the venue. From the moment the guests arrived, it was clear that this was not just another celebration. There was a feeling in the air, subtle but undeniable, that something deeply meaningful was about to take place. Soft lights shimmered above the aisle, casting a warm glow over the room. Delicate flowers bloomed in gentle colors, carefully arranged to create a space that felt both elegant and intimate. A calm, joyful atmosphere wrapped itself around everyone present, as if inviting them to slow down and truly witness the moment. At the center of it all stood Huyen. She was radiant in her wedding dress, her posture graceful yet slightly tense, as if she were holding back a wave of emotion. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, but beneath that joy lived something deeper, a quiet reflection of all the memories that had led her here. Every step she had taken in life, every challenge she had endured, seemed to echo softly in her heart as she stood at the altar. Then came one of the most touching sights of the day. Beside Huyen, her daughter Maya stepped forward as the bridesmaid. Dressed in a simple yet beautiful gown, Maya carefully held the edge of her mother's dress. Her small hands moved with surprising confidence, and her steps, though gentle, were steady and sure. Her innocent smile and bright, curious eyes immediately captured the attention of everyone in the room. Maya wasn't just a child walking down the aisle. She was a symbol of love, of hope, and of the family that was being formed right before everyone's eyes. For many of the guests, this was the moment that truly touched their hearts. Seeing a mother and daughter walk together into a new chapter reminded everyone that this wedding was about more than romance. It was about unity, acceptance, and belonging. As the music softened, the ceremony moved toward its most sacred moment. Day slowly reached out and took Huyen's hand. His expression was calm, but behind that calm was a deep, steady emotion. His eyes carried respect, devotion, and a love that had been tested by time and hardship. With gentle care, he placed the wedding ring onto Huyen's finger. That single gesture felt timeless. For a brief moment, it was as if the world paused, allowing everyone present to fully absorb the weight of the promise being made. The ring itself was simple, yet its meaning was immense. It represented not only love, but commitment, protection, and a shared future built on trust. Huyen's breath trembled slightly as she looked up at Day. Her eyes, filled with tears, she didn't try to hide. In that instant, the struggles they had faced, the uncertainty, the pain, all seemed to fade into the background. What remained was gratitude, relief, and a quiet faith in what they were building together. The guests watched in silence, many holding their breath. Everyone could feel it. This wasn't a performance or a picture-perfect moment for appearances. This was something profoundly sincere. Cameras clicked softly in the background, but no sound was strong enough to break the emotional intensity filling the room. This was the turning point. Two lives, once shaped by hardship and uncertainty, were officially becoming one. Surrounded by love, support, and heartfelt blessings, Huyen and Day stood hand in hand, ready to step into a new chapter together. Their wedding was no longer just a ceremony. It was a declaration. A declaration that love, when patient and faithful, will always find its way to happiness. As the ceremony continued, the atmosphere gradually shifted. The quiet, emotional stillness transformed into something brighter and more vibrant. Soft romantic music slowly gave way to cheerful melodies that filled the venue with warmth and excitement. Smiles spread across every face. Guests rose from their seats, clapping along to the rhythm, their applause filled with genuine joy. At the center of it all, Huyen and Day stood close together, their fingers tightly intertwined. They could feel the happiness of the moment flowing through them, steady and real. What had begun as a solemn vow now blossomed into a celebration of love, life, and togetherness. With laughter in their voices and joy shining in their eyes, Huyen and Day began to sing together. Their voices weren't perfect, but they were honest. Every note carried emotion. Every lyric reflected their journey, the struggles they had overcome, the patience they had learned, and the love that had grown stronger through every challenge. Guests smiled as they listened. Some joined in softly, humming along. Others wiped away tears, moved by the sincerity behind every word. The simple act of singing side by side became a powerful expression of unity. It showed that they were no longer walking separate paths, but sharing one voice, one rhythm, one life. The joy in the room grew louder. Friends and family responded with enthusiastic applause, and heartfelt cheers. Laughter echoed through the venue. Glasses were raised in celebration. Warm congratulations flowed freely, filling the space with connection and happiness. The joy of Huyen and Diep was contagious. It spread from one guest to another, turning the celebration into a moment no one would forget. For those who had witnessed their difficult journey, there was a deep sense of relief and pride. Love had endured. Love had won. This wedding was no longer just about the couple. It became a shared victory for everyone who had believed in them. When the music gently faded, Huyen and Diep stood and turned toward their guests. Still holding hands, they bowed their heads slightly in gratitude. Their expressions were filled with humility and appreciation. Diep spoke first. His voice was steady, but emotion lingered beneath every word as he thanked everyone for being there, for standing by them, and for sharing this unforgettable day. Then, Huyen followed. Her voice was soft, sincere, and filled with gratitude. She spoke from the heart, expressing how deeply touched she was by the presence and support of everyone in the room. Their words weren't formal, they weren't rehearsed, they were real. And in that moment, surrounded by applause and loving smiles, the wedding hall felt alive with warmth and connection. It was clear to everyone present that this celebration was more than a joyful gathering. It was a reminder that love grows stronger when it is shared, supported, and celebrated together. As the celebration slowly settled into a calmer rhythm, a quiet wave of emotion rose within Huyen's heart. Standing there in her wedding dress, surrounded by music, flowers, and the smiling faces of people she loved, the weight of her journey suddenly caught up with her. It didn't arrive loudly, it came softly, like a memory drifting back when you least expect it. Moments from the past began to surface. Days of loneliness when she felt unseen. Nights filled with doubt, when she questioned whether happiness would ever truly find her. Times when she had to be strong, not just for herself, but for her daughter, even when her own heart felt exhausted. All of it came rushing in at once, and that was when the tears fell. They streamed down her cheeks freely, without shame. These were not tears of sadness. They were tears of release, tears of gratitude, tears of disbelief that after everything she had endured, she was finally standing here, at the end of a long storm, in a place of safety and love. The moment Diep noticed her trembling, he stepped closer, without hesitation. He didn't wait. He didn't ask. He simply wrapped his arms around her, pulling her gently into his embrace. It was a quiet, protective gesture, but it carried immense strength. In that instant, his arms became her shelter. Huyen leaned into him, allowing herself to rest against his chest. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel like she had to hold everything together on her own. She felt safe. She felt understood. The noise of the room faded into the background as the world seemed to narrow down to just the two of them. Diep lowered his voice and whispered words meant only for her. He told her that from this moment on, she would never have to walk alone again. That every fear, every burden, every uncertainty would no longer be hers to carry by herself. He promised that they would face everything together, side by side, no matter what the future held. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke, not from weakness, but from the depth of what he felt. Every word came from a place of certainty not impulse. This wasn't a promise made in the heat of a moment. It was a vow shaped by understanding, patience, and everything they had already been through. Then gently, Day spoke about Maya. He didn't refer to her simply as Huyen's daughter. He spoke of her as an inseparable part of his life. He promised to stand by her, to protect her, to guide her, and to love her as his own. There was no hesitation in his voice, no uncertainty, only devotion. In that moment, it became clear to everyone listening that this was not just a marriage between two people. It was the forming of a family. For Huyen, hearing those words felt like a quiet miracle. It was as if the invisible scars left by the past were finally being acknowledged and slowly healed. Years of worry, fear, and emotional distance melted away, replaced by a sense of peace she had almost forgotten existed. Around them, the guests watched in respectful silence. No one spoke. No one moved. Many were deeply moved by what they were witnessing. Some gently wiped away tears. Others exchanged quiet glances, fully aware that they were present for something rare and genuine. This wasn't dramatic or exaggerated. It was raw, honest, and deeply human. It was love, built not on perfection, but on endurance. When Day gently kissed Huyen's forehead, the gesture was simple, yet profoundly meaningful. It felt like a seal placed upon every promise he had just made. In that moment, the bond between them became unshakable. A family was truly born right there, not defined by flawless beginnings or ideal circumstances, but by loyalty, responsibility, and unconditional love. Huyen closed her eyes, resting her head against Day's chest. Her breathing slowly steadied, and her heart felt lighter than it had in years. For the first time in a long time, she felt at peace. She knew that the road ahead would still bring challenges. Life always does. But she also knew something else with absolute certainty. From this moment forward, she, Day, and Maya would face the future together. Not as separate individuals trying to survive on their own, but as one family, bound by love and commitment for a lifetime. As the emotion of the moment gently settled, the atmosphere of the wedding shifted once more. What remained was a deep sense of warmth and connection. Guests slowly returned to their seats, their faces softened by what they had just witnessed. Conversations resumed, but with a quieter tone, as if everyone was still holding on to the meaning of the moment. The celebration continued, but now it carried a deeper layer of understanding. This wasn't just a happy ending, it was a new beginning. Huyen and Day moved through the room together, greeting guests, accepting congratulations, and sharing smiles that came easily and naturally. Maya stayed close by their side, occasionally looking up at them with a sense of wonder, as if she too felt that something important had changed. Every laugh, every handshake, every embrace carried more weight now. There was a shared awareness among everyone present that this wedding represented something real, something earned. As the evening unfolded, stories were shared, memories were recalled, and laughter filled the space once again. But beneath the joy, there was a quiet respect for the journey that had led to this day. Friends and family didn't just celebrate the love between Huyen and Day, they celebrated their resilience. They celebrated the courage it took to believe in love again. When the lights began to dim and the celebration slowly drew to a close, Huyen took one last look around the room. The flowers, the decorations, the faces of the people who had stood by her. she held on to the moment, knowing it would stay with her forever. Day squeezed her hand gently, as if sensing her thoughts. She smiled back at him, a smile filled not just with happiness, but with trust. This was their beginning. Not a perfect story, but a true one. A story where love didn't arrive easily, but stayed faithfully. And as they stepped forward into their future together, one thing was clear to everyone who had witnessed their journey. Sometimes, the most beautiful love stories aren't the ones without struggle. They're the ones where love chooses to stay, to grow, and to endure
Trong
together.
câu chuyện cảm động này,
This story
Huyền đoàn tụ
follows
với
the
Đệ
emotional
sau nhiều
wedding
tháng xa
journey of
cách.
Huyen and
Mối dây
Diep,
liên kết của họ
a couple
được củng
whose love
cố
was
bởi sự
shaped
vắng
by
mặt và
hardship,
tình yêu bền vững.
patience,
Cùng
and
nhau, họ tập trung
unwavering
chăm sóc cô
commitment.
gái Maya,
More
xây
than a
dựng một mái ấm
celebration of
an toàn và
romance,
tràn đầy yêu
their
thương.
wedding becomes a
Đồng thời
powerful
hỗ trợ
symbol
Tử Vi,
of
một cô gái
family
trẻ
and
đang đối mặt
belonging,
với khó khăn.
especially when
Những khoảnh
Huyen's
khắc gia
daughter,
đình chuẩn bị
Maya,
bữa ăn,
walks
dựng lên một
beside
cấu
her
trúc cho
as a
Maya
bridesmaid.
và chia sẻ
From
tiếng
the
cười,
sacred exchange of rings to
phản
the
ánh
moment
tình
they
yêu sâu sắc
sing
và
together,
sự quan tâm lẫn nhau
every
trong gia đình.
scene
Tuy
reflects
nhiên,
trust,
sự bình
healing,
yên của họ
and
gián
the
đoạn
courage
khi những
to
kẻ
love
xâm nhập xuất
again.
hiện,
The most
tìm kiếm
touching
Tử
moment
Vi và làm
arrives
nổi
when
bật
Huyen
sự
breaks
mong manh
down
và những
in
nguy hiểm
tears,
mà họ phải đối mặt.
overwhelmed by her
Những căng
past.
thẳng và bất định,
And Day promises
Huyền và Đệ lên
not
kế hoạch
only
cho
to
một
stand
tương lai
by
an
her,
toàn hơn,
but to protect
quyết định trở về
and
miền Bắc
love
để
Maya
gần gũi hơn
as
với
his
gia
own.
đình và mang lại sự ổn
Yet
định
this is
cho Maya.
not the end of
Qua
their
những thử thách,
story.
mối đe dọa
What
và
lies
những
ahead for this newly formed
kết nối chân
family,
thành,
and
câu chuyện ca
how
ngợi sức
will
mạnh
love
tình yêu, gia đình
continue
và
to
sự kiên
shape
cường
their
trong công việc,
future?
tạo dựng hy